Hi everyone, and welcome to Low Season Traveller Insider Guides. I'm Jed Brown, founder and CEO of Low Season Traveller, and in today's episode we are talking about social tourism, and we have the perfect guest to help us to better understand what we mean by the term social tourism and how it can make a huge positive difference in the world. I first met Nic Balmain 16 years ago when we both sat on the management board of a large multi-channel travel organisation called My Travel. Since those days, Nic has relocated back to California, where she decided to listen to her instincts and create a fabulous organisation called Nanda Journeys, which, as their tagline suggests, is travel for people with purpose and passion. I caught up with Nic in this episode to learn more about what socially responsible tourism means and exactly how everyone benefits. As ever with Nic, her passion shines through in every word she speaks, and you can't fail to be excited by her vision for a virtuous circle of tourism where everybody benefits. Enjoy. So, Nic, you are very welcome to the Low Season Traveller Insider Guides podcast. Great to have you on the show.
Oh, thanks for having me, Jed. It's great to be here.
Very good. Well, lovely to have you. So look, first of all, just for our listeners at home, where in the world are you at the moment, Nic? Where are you guys based?
So we're based in California, and I'm in Santa Cruz. Actually, I'm in Aptos, which is probably a place you've never really heard of. It's just a little bit further south than Santa Cruz. So Northern California, on the coast, a little bit foggy in the mornings at this time of the year and warming up, hopefully come September. So yeah, we're in a little town called Aptos.
Very good, very good. And you're literally just back from traveling to Guatemala, I believe.
Yes, it was very exciting after 19 months of no travel, which for all of us travel junkies is a very difficult place to be in, of course. And since I was 17, I've traveled at least twice a year, so it's been a drought.
Yeah.
So it was amazing. Guatemala, a pleasant surprise, I have to say. We've taken some travelers there in the past, and they thoroughly enjoyed it. But to experience it firsthand, especially a new country, I still get giddy.
Yeah.
When I go to a new country, a new place, there's always that little tummy wobble that happens and not sure what you're going to see or who you're going to come across. Guatemala, please, everybody, put it on your list. It's a gem of a country with lots to offer, great food, great people. If you like a little bit of adventure, you can hike an active volcano, which is very cool. Roast marshmallows at the top, pretty fun.
Way, really? Is that in any way, shape, or form scary?
No, it wasn't. The day we were there, they didn't have lava flowing, which honestly was a bit of a disappointment. We're hoping to see a little bit of the hot lava.
I'd be okay with
not
that.
Gonna lie. Be okay. But what I didn't realize was Guatemala has 37 volcanoes, and 3 of them are still active. So the topography and the landscape is very much dominated by active and dormant volcanoes. So it's part of their life there, and they live with these active volcanoes. There is a lot of tragedy associated with it as well, especially the fact that there are still active volcanoes. And I think just a couple of years ago, there was a large area, the Fuego volcano, the fire volcano, erupted and took out quite a lot of land. And that meant some villages. There are lots of villages in and around the valley floor of the volcanoes and up the side of the volcanoes. So it makes for beautiful scenery, but the reality is it also comes with a little bit of fear too, right? So, but absolutely stunning, amazing. And if you don't want to hike, there's always the horses that'll follow you for a little way. Your taxi awaits if you needed to bail on the hike. So that's fun.
Oh, tremendous. Is Guatemala, is it easy to get to from where you are? And is it one of those destinations that's quite popular with travelers from the US?
It's not popular with people from the US, and I'm surprised. I really do think it's going to be uncovered. People go to Costa Rica, which actually is takes a little bit longer to get to Costa Rica. And you have, of course, the flora, the fauna, all of the wildlife and everything. Costa Rica is an amazing place. But Guatemala offers so much in terms of cultural heritage. And it's only, 2.5 hour flight from Florida. So it's super easy, nonstop flights, 3 hours from Houston or Dallas. And of course, you can connect through all of those hubs from anywhere else in the States. So it's only 1 hour different time change from the West Coast, right? So very easy, very accessible, and a lot more affordable, right? Economically, it's a lot cheaper than a lot of the other destinations you might consider. So cultural heritage is probably the thing I would say it offers the most. So many Mayan cultures, and they still speak the local Mayan language.
Oh, really?
So 22 different languages are spoken in and around Guatemala. And so much cultural heritage there that you really don't see in Costa Rica. So if that floats your boat, you should definitely put Guatemala on your list.
Definitely floats the boat. It's interesting, actually, like yourself, Nic, and we'll get a little bit more into your background as well. But I've traveled, relatively widely around the world, but I've still never been to Central America at all, or Mexico, actually, for that matter. I'm due to go to Mexico later this year. If it gets off the red list. It's on the red list.
I hope. Yeah, I just went back on the red list, right?
Just crazy. It's just,
yeah.
This trip's been put off and put off and put off, but never been to Central America, and it's an area of the world that I just, it's so high on the bucket list. Not only Guatemala, but all of the all of those places. Belize, Costa Rica, definitely.
El Salvador, Costa Rica. Yeah, it's an amazing place, and you, like ourselves here, we like to support local economies. And we try and find opportunities to travel to places where we know we can have a big impact. And your travel dollars go a long, long, long way in Guatemala. And like the rest of the world, needed now more than ever. And a lot of the Central American countries, and as we know, many countries around the world rely so heavily on tourism for the health of their local economy, the health of their people. They rely so heavily on it. So going to Guatemala, you can see the impact. It isn't like you have to hunt for it. You know how impactful your experience is. And, tipping your driver, we tip generously when we travel, but not everybody does. You tip to your own opportunity to be able to have the ability to tip. But it's tenfold what a tip might be like here in the US or in the UK. The impact of that, and the impact on the family that you're encountering, especially after 19 months of no business. These people are living on the edge of poverty and are desperately trying to get back in to tourism and sustaining themselves and creating an income for their family. So from that perspective, high impact, but high experience too. It's
perfect then, isn't it? Really, it's truly a win-win. Truly win-win.
Mm-hmm. It really is. But for your listeners, I have to let them know that there are two Antiguas, and the Antigua in Guatemala is not the Caribbean.
Yeah. Very good. Tell me this. We were just speaking before off air. We were just sort of talking about, you mentioned about this hotel company, which have got properties in the country. Want to tell us a little bit more about those? Because that's a really great, it's kind of social tourism, isn't it? Right. Very much socially responsible tourism. But I just absolutely love this. And I think our listeners would be interested in it.
Yeah, it's fascinating, and I'm blown away by the concept and so inspired by it. So there was a gentleman from the Netherlands traveled to Antigua in Guatemala, and he saw that one of the young girls he came across didn't have any shoes. He went to buy her some trainers and went home, and as many of us do, we come home elated for our experience, but desperate to try and figure out how we can be part of the solution for some of the challenges we see. And he set up a foundation with some family members and friends. And created this concept called the Good Hotel. So there's a Good Hotel in Antigua, and you stay at the hotel. It's a 4-star hotel. They do not compromise on quality. They don't compromise on service. It's in this beautiful colonial building. So great location. And for each night you stay there, you provide 5 days worth of education for a local student in their school. So through the tourism dollars they generate for the hotel, they have grown to fund 3 schools in Guatemala, 2 elementary schools, a secondary school, and I'm sure they have visions of creating an opportunity beyond that for these children. But in addition to the hotel, all of the parents are involved in some way, and they also provide experiences for you that protects the cultural heritage. So you can learn about cacao, coffee, how they dye all of the fabrics and weave the fabrics and make these most amazing, vibrant fabrics I've ever seen. So it's this holistic connection of wonderfulness. Everybody is in a win-win situation. You pay to stay in a great place, you have great service, you have great experiences. And if the kids were in school, I could have visited the kids in school, but of course, COVID has gotten in the way of that a little bit too. And it's not one of those experiences where you go and what I would call the dog and pony show, which I feel is so awful around the world, where kids are put on parade for you. So you're going to contribute a few dollars or a few pounds to their nonprofit. This is a genuine interaction. You spend time with them in class, and you help make the lunch, or you help teach an English class. Win, 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 win all the way around. And they're expanding as well. For your folks listening in the UK, they can now stay at the Good Hotel, the Royal Docks in London. And you and I had a highly coincidental experience just a few moments ago about that.
We did indeed, because it turns out that only this morning I actually booked to stay in the Good Hotel, and I didn't know the story behind the Good Hotel, but I feel a lot better about my stay. So I'll be staying there during the World Travel Market, which is in November, and I booked it, by the way, just because it looked like it was a fabulous hotel.
It is a great hotel. Yeah, it really is wonderful. And your stay, I think you told me you're staying there 3 nights.
Yep.
So you'll actually fund 15 days worth of education for a student in Guatemala by staying at the Good Hotel. And I'm not sure about the hotel in London, but in the hotel in Antigua, each room is dedicated to a student. So in your room, you have this wonderful picture of your student, and they tell you a little bit about your student. Our student was called Dolce, and she has great ambitions for herself. So it really is inspiring. So you don't really have to work at supporting the local economy or the local community. You're having a wonderful time, and they're taking care of being philanthropic and being socially responsible. I tell you, Jed, I've worked in travel a really long time, and I haven't been this excited about a concept in a really long time. But there's more and more of that around the world. And we seek out those opportunities to collaborate with people at a really local level to try and retain every dollar we spend in the local community. So we know we have an impact. And I'm so excited to see more people are turning that way and looking at social tourism as a model for the future. And I think it's something to watch out for. Honestly, I think it's going to change the world, and it's going to change the way people experience travel. We talk about wanting that authentic local experience. There is no better way to have a local authentic experience than something like that.
Absolutely love that as well. We should as well. I mean, this kind of links in really to your own organization, but I suppose before we get there, tell us just very, very briefly your sort of history with the travel industry. You've been in the travel industry most of your life, all of your life. Did you go straight from school into the travel industry?
I know.
Tell us your travel industry.
Don't age me. Don't age me. My journey started when I was 17, and I'd always wanted to work in travel, and I was going to Manchester University for a course in travel and tourism, and that required me, of course, to do some work experience. And in Rosendale, we had a local company called Air Tours that was really just getting off the ground, had come from a small travel agency and was starting to grow its tour operation side of the business. And I became the Saturday call center girl, right? It's like, okay, I started in the call center with Air Tours way back when, and really grew up with them. It was the best opportunity. And I'm so grateful to the management and team. And that's where you and I had the opportunity to connect, was through that path, right?
Yep.
So I worked in lots of different divisions within the organization, which ultimately afforded me an opportunity to transfer to a company in California. Lucky girl.
Yeah.
And I came back for a little while, and that's where you and I met, when we worked together, my travel group for Cresta Bridge and Trade Winds. So, and then I missed California weather so much that I came back to the States. So it's at that time where I started to work for a student travel company, and that's where this wonderful concept of really connecting with the local people and the local culture blossomed for me. So I'm no longer a fan of the all-inclusives. And if that's your thing, I think it's fantastic, but it's no longer for me. The fire was lit, and I knew this is what I wanted to do forever. Connecting kids with other cultures, having them stay in people's homes, having them truly understand what another country was like. Not just going to get away and get a suntan or to enjoy the food, but understanding the people, the culture, the history, and making friends. That really is what resonated with me. And when that company closed in 2015, I knew I couldn't go back. I had to move forward on this path, and I had to stay connected to my heart now at this point. And my heart was connected to people. So we started Nanda Journeys, and Nanda means joy in Sanskrit. And that's what we hope to deliver, is joy for everybody. And it's a journey. I don't know if I've shared this story with you before, but we purposefully do not call our programs trips. They are journeys. Yeah. And it's very purposeful why we do that. A trip, you trip, you fall, you get up, and you move on. It's kind of it's a one-time event, right? Yeah. Not always that pleasant. But a journey is something that should continue forever. So your journey begins when you start to consider, where are you going to go? Why are you going to go there? What's the purpose of your decision? Are you going to experience the local culture? How does that work for you? And your journey honestly should never end, because we should have afforded you an opportunity to connect with somebody locally where that lives on. That journey lives and breathes. And if you never travel with Nanda Journeys again, you will always have a piece of Nanda Journeys in your heart, because we've created an opportunity for you to connect in an authentic way that should be meaningful for both you and the people that you met along that pathway. So yeah, we don't do trips. We do journeys.
I love that. But I think it's strange, isn't it, though? Because the word trip conjures up certain sort of images in one's head, and journey does as well. But journey, it feels like it's more of a prolonged. Well, it's almost like it's like without end, and it's like we always sort of say in the travel industry, that it's all about the journey. Actually, it's all about the journey. It's not the destination. Kind of is the journey, really. Do you know what I mean? It's all kind of intrinsically part of it. So I absolutely love it. And since I first sort of was introduced to your organization, I just I knew with your background that it would be hugely successful anyway. But to see the breadth of journeys that you provide on the website, and also it's I love you have this tagline, travel for people with purpose and passion. And I think that kind of sums it up really nicely as well. Like you said, it's not just about a meaningless trip, it's meaningful travel. It really is the epitome of meaningful travel. And I love that, because that's what that's the direction really that I want us to get down with Low Season Traveler as well. It's about meaningful travel. It was interesting, actually. You'll appreciate this. I was working for a company years ago. Gosh, a long time ago now. It got subsequently acquired by the TUI group. But what they did is they were all about meaningful travel as well, and they came up with a tagline, which was against mindless travel. And it was against mindless travel. And they had T-shirts printed up with this, and the branding on this was, it was like a rubber stamp, against mindless travel. And it just,
love it.
like you said, it just resonated with me, and I just thought, you know what? Yeah, I was kind of proud to wear that T-shirt everywhere, against mindless travel. And when people would see it, they were like, yeah, right on. We're against this mindless travel as well. And it is mindless because we're not thinking about it. It's like anything else that we do that is routine, and holidays can be routine. We just, go to that place in the sun and to a hotel, and that's what we do. We book for 7 or 14 nights randomly, always the same every year, but we kind of sleepwalk into it. And I kind of think it's a little bit like, when you're driving somewhere and you go temporarily on autopilot, your mind's lost, and you're just thinking, did I actually drive over the Barton Bridge? Or have I been over the Barton Bridge? And then you realize, yeah, I have been over the Barton Bridge.
I did.
and it was, but I genuinely have no recollection whatsoever, because I was on autopilot. And I think a lot of travel. Oh, have you gone, Nick? You still there?
Oh, I'm here. Yeah.
I think a lot of companies, a lot of people, when they travel, I think that they're just not really thinking about their travel and the impact on their travel. And I think that's what for me, that's what Nanda Journeys, seems to be all about. It's getting people to have a conscious travel experience, I suppose.
Yeah, a very, very conscious travel experience, but without having to think about it themselves. We do the thinking for them, so they know they want to travel in a way that's responsible and impactful. And I think we then are the kind of the vessel to help them do that, because people just don't know where to start. Sometimes they know that they want to make good decisions, they want to have a high impact, but they're still on holiday at the end of the day. They still want to have a great experience, right? Experience a new culture and a new country, and do it in such a way that is, they don't have to think about it themselves. They don't have to worry about, will I know the culture? How should I behave? How do I get from A to B? Or, so we help them to have an experience that is navigated for them, but we create opportunities for freedom, because that freedom also is part of the experience. I think I shared with you earlier, I get giddy when I go to a new country. We all want to maintain that giddy experience of experiencing something new. But we don't want that fear to be overwhelming and to totally take over your experience. You don't want to be being worried about where you go, what you do, how you interact. And I think that's part of our job too. And we consider ourselves people connectors. At the end of the day, to really connect with another culture, you've got to make a connection with another person. We're all people at the end of the day. But you don't want to walk up to some random stranger and introduce yourself and say, hey, I'm from Manchester, or I'm from San Francisco. Can I come to your house for dinner? That's not going to happen, right? Yeah. So I think connecting people at that very purposeful level, again, the travel for people with purpose and passion, came to me in a yoga class. I'm like, what on earth am I going to call this company? And right at the end of my yoga class, Nanda just popped into my head, and I'm like, Nanda Journeys, travel for people with purpose and passion. And I rushed home to write it all down on a piece of paper so I wouldn't lose it. And the blessing about being an independent entrepreneur is you don't have to debate that for 6 months with your board or your or your management team and debate the pros and cons of that, forevermore. So yeah, that was the birth of Nanda Journeys.
And tell me this, I mean, I've just been, again, and I'd encourage everybody out there to go on nandajourneys.com and have a look at some of the journeys which are forthcoming, hopefully all being well. I was going to say, so how, I've got to ask the question, COVID, we're here on the 10th of August as we record this, and God only knows what it'll be like by the time this actually comes out on iTunes and Spotify. How has the past year and a half been for you at Nanda Journeys? What kind of an effect has it had? I'm guessing not a brilliant effect.
No, not brilliant at all. I mean, it's devastating, quite frankly. I mean, we're hopeful for the future, of course, like all of our colleagues around the world in travel and hospitality. In 2020, we were just going into our 5th year of operations. And we turned that beautiful corner where everything is going really well. And we were going to have our best year ever. It was going to be our breakthrough year. By February of 2020, we had more people registered that had traveled the entire previous year. So we were finally, this is going to be it. Nanda Journeys is here for the long term, and it's so very exciting. And not a month later, of course, the reality hit that 2020 was probably not going to be our breakout year at all. And we typically travel in the low season, much to the delight of your ears, I know, Jed. So most of our programs typically occur in the 3rd and 4th quarter of a year. So all of our work was done. All of our programs had been designed. We had 25 programs planned. Yeah. And within a matter of 2 months, it became apparent that we probably weren't going to travel any of our programs in 2020. So for an organization that has already done all the work, like all of our travel colleagues, unless you can ultimately take your travelers on their ultimate experience, you don't get paid. Yeah. And there was 5 months worth of operations and overhead with no revenue. And that's just the reality of our industry. So we had to face that harsh reality, but also dig deep and have faith that eventually things will turn around. And we're still digging deep. We're still digging for the faith. But as you'll see, we're still hopeful for travel at the end of the year to some locations, and next year. But we'll only do it if we believe we can offer our guests a safe experience. Yeah. And we have decided that all of our guests need to be vaccinated for travel. I know that's another debated topic in this new COVID era. But I genuinely believe we have a responsibility to the other countries we're visiting. If we're going to go and experience their country and enjoy ourselves and have a great time, we also have to be responsible and acknowledge the fact that their vaccination rates are not as progressive as ours. And we not only protecting ourselves, we have to protect the people whom we're going to come across when we visit. So it's been devastating, but I'm still hopeful that the future will be grand, and I'm sure it will be. We're all in it together. I think there's been a lot of support emotionally within our industry. There's a lot of compassion, but I'm not so sure that there really is the depth of understanding outside of our industry. Honestly, yeah. I don't think people realize
it was. Do you know what was
how tough it is?
What was really interesting? I mean, because like you say, I think everybody in the industry, we all know, this has been our kind of ground zero. I mean,
yeah,
global travel stopping for so far 16 months. I mean, that's as bad as you're possibly going to have, and none of us could have imagined that ever would have happened. But what was interesting is a friend of mine who I play tennis with, a guy called Shazad. He's trying to get his wife and his daughter back from Pakistan to the UK via Spain at the moment. And the amount of testing and regulation changes for if you're coming via Qatar over to Madrid, and you've got to check the Spanish website and check. And he just said, Jed, he said, this is an absolute nightmare. He said, I'm just trying to do this once. Your industry, travel agents, you're trying to do this all the time for so many different people. And he's just said, I got a window into the world of how much disruption you guys have been through. And I said, there's that, Shazad, and also the fact that a lot of our travel industry friends and colleagues, like you were just saying, it's not only are they not taking any money in, but they already had bookings for money, which then in many cases had to be refunded. And the admin that went with that. So a lot of them, it was really hard when, a lot of them were being asked to furlough, and it was like, well, I can't furlough because I have to actually tie up
We have to do things.
all of the bookings that are currently there on the books, and I've got suppliers and all of this kind of stuff. I mean, just horrendous. But I agree with you. I don't think outside of the industry, people just don't seem to really understand it. And I think that maybe is understandable, but I just hope that that they start to understand it as we come out of it, and they come back to us. I know the appetite for travel, certainly for the UK, it's very much there, but it's going to be under the right circumstances. And I think your point about making sure that anybody that travels with you is vaccinated. Well, that, like you said, that's about being responsible, isn't it? That's about taking responsibility seriously, and I think we have to do that.
Yeah, I think we do. And there are some inconveniences, yes, but we can figure those out. I mean, yes, it is difficult to be navigating all of the changes, and they're ever changing. But we're nothing if not resilient in our industry. And I think we've talked about that many times before, Jed. So
yeah, we didn't realize that we were going to have
this is a doozy, though. This is a doozy. Yeah, really I don't think we ever expected anything like this, but we'll come out stronger on the other side. And I think there'll be an appreciation for the travel professionals, but also I think people will want to experience the world in a different way. And this has been a light bulb moment. We have to be more conscientious about how we travel, and make decisions that are responsible, and think about sustainability, think about impact. Because if we don't, then we won't be traveling to these wonderful destinations in the future. And that's just the reality we face. And we just got to be sensible.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Listen, we're starting to run short on time, Nic. Before I let you go, tell me, where are you hoping to travel to next? And is it somewhere that you've been before? Where are you off to?
So my next journey, honestly, is taking me a little bit closer to home, where I have not been for a very long time. So I'll be going to Ireland in September. And we have a wonderful cultural immersion journey planned with a small group. So we're going to travel around Ireland, do a little bit of ancestry exploration. Super exciting that I realized one of my group members, most of their family is called Murphy. And that was me in my former pre-married life. I was a Murphy too. So we're going to have a lot of fun exploring ancestry, cooking scones, seeing sheepdog trials, and all of these things that my American guests who probably never experienced before. In addition to, of course, enjoying all of the wonderful scenery and pub culture that Ireland has to offer. So in a few short weeks, I will be on my way to Dublin.
I'm envious. I haven't been over to Ireland.
See you there.
I've got a lot of family there as well, and I haven't been over there for a while. You do know the rule, by the way, and this is absolutely true, I swear it, that it is very, very bad luck if you pass a pub that's got your surname on without going in for a drink. That is absolutely
without going in.
You know this, right?
All right.
Well,
I am now called Balmain, so I guess I have to?
No. You have to go with a Murphy.
I have to do the Murphy route. I could be pretty tipsy, and I'm supposed to be leading this group, so I'm sure they'll see another side of me that they've never seen before. So that'll be fun.
It will be a lot of fun. Well, listen, hey, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us and share a little bit more about your recent travels with us, and also, of course, Nanda.
Pleasure.
And wish you every success in the forthcoming trip over to Ireland. And hopefully in a few months' time, we can catch up again on the podcast, and you can tell us how you got on in Ireland, maybe.
Well, fantastic. I would love that. Thanks for having me on, Jed, and really appreciate it. Always a pleasure to talk to you. We could probably talk the night away, I'm sure. But yeah, always great to talk to you.
Thanks a million, Nic. Take care.
All right. Take care.
So there we have it. Huge thanks again to Nic for taking the time to join us this week. I must say it's always so enlightening speaking with Nic, and I can't wait to hear how she gets on in Ireland too. In fact, I think we'll definitely ask her to join us again in the coming months so we can find out. We are currently recording a mini-series of podcasts where we focus on some up-and-coming travel influencers who are producing some amazing content on social media and in many cases are doing a better job of marketing destinations more effectively than many of the tourist boards out there. Prepare to be inspired as we speak to 6 up-and-coming young social media influencers who are already getting hundreds of thousands of people to dust off their passports in search of adventure. But for now, have a wonderful week, stay safe, and remember that travel is always better without the crowds.